Alright guys, got another 15-minute game on the board, and we've got the French. So I played the e4, and I'm going to play my French wing gambit approach, which should wrong foot most French players. This is a 1-15 for me. Okay, so now we push e5. So most French players will instinctively want to play c5 and gain control of the centre. Okay, he's not gone for that. Interesting. So here I'm not inclined to take because it invites either his knight or his queen to come out, or even his pawn to improve, right? Much better if he takes me and I get to improve my knight, okay. So d4 looks very sensible now. There's no scary checks. And he's moved Freddie. Okay, now I think just c3. Or we could go for a kind of delayed wing gambit idea with b4, try and dislodge the pawn, but I don't want to put my bishop in. Too many options there. Kind of like c3. So we could end up, if he pushes, we could end up with a really big blockage in the middle of the board. Right, so he's got two attackers on here. I have two defenders, that's okay. I could pin the knight, which will just prompt him to play his bishop to there and try and swap off his bad light square bishop. As you see, he's got his pawns already on light squares, so other options. My knight is probably going to want to come here. So maybe I want to get my bishop out. It's a slightly awkward position for the bishop, maybe even here. So if there is some exchange action going on e5, my bishop could join in the fun there. Okay. So the point here is to stick to first principles, stick to fundamentals. Probably want to develop my bishop. I'm thinking maybe e2. Okay, he's taken inwards. If I do the same now, he has a check, but I can block with my knight in a couple of ways. Or my bishop, or lots of other things. So, his knight takes. Is there any value in that? Yeah, if he takes me with his knight, I can recapture with the queen, even. And he can't harass my queen. If I take with a pawn, let's just have a look at that. Knight won't take. He might just develop his bishop. I quite like this. Quite like this idea. And I'm threatening to capture his knight, maybe. Bishop's the only defender of this pawn right now. Something like this. Then if he blocks with his bishop, we could trade bishops. Then I can come in and grab this pawn with a fork on queen and... KKK! Excitement! Ah. Not really. I didn't figure that out, did I? Okay, so now I think I have to take the knight and attack the queen. So don't give him time to take my bishop. But now I can grab the pawn. And I'm not liking black's structure all of a sudden, right? He's still got a bad bishop here. Okay, I want to get my light square bishop out. Maybe to there now. Get myself castled. I've got queen here, isn't it an idea? With maybe take the knight. If pawn takes, he's looking vulnerable. I just feel like I want to get my bishop out. The question is, which diagonal does it want to go on? I've got this diagonal, or I've got this diagonal. I think that looks slightly better. I'm going to get myself castled. He's going to want to move this bishop soon. Also working on not underestimating any opponent, but also not overestimating any opponent, because I've fallen into that trap recently of resigning games where I had a killer response. This pawn's undefended. But I have a lead in development, and also my opponent has no f-pawn, which could be an issue. So if I get to castle, I might get to throw Freddy up the board. Yeah, so that's not a huge surprise. We knew he wanted to develop that bishop. I do have b4, which resolves my problem with the undefended b-pawn, and comes with tempo. If he goes there, he gets taken, taken, stays there, he gets taken. So I think that's a free move for me. And grabs some space. Potentially makes life hard. I'm imagining he's just going to drop back, but I could even then continue with a4, a5. And cause him more grief. Okay, so castles is an option. That does pin this pawn. But the knight can't come in here or here. There it's got queen, here it's got bishop, maybe. Or do I a4? Huh. Don't want to take here and invite his queen onto there, because then he's got some threats. So can I kind of... What about this even? If he takes, I take. Now it gives me an isolated queen's pawn, but it also eliminates his good bishop. How good is my bishop? Or queen f3. Again with threats on here. If then he might just castle and put his rook on the f-file, which we don't want. Okay, I'm going with this one. Going with that idea. Just calmly trying to evaluate and calculate what the likely outcome is going to be from each move choice. And then try and select the one that's going to leave me in a better position and hopefully my opponent in a worse one. Now, my queen's protection of this bishop is now blocked because I played bishop d3 instead of bishop e2. But if he takes, I will simply recapture with the pawn. Got some central control. Alright, now, yeah, he's done that. He's done it. I'm inclined to play a4. Maybe also I just want to get my knight here. Yeah, I like that. Knight here, and then the knight's also defending that bishop. So if I can get my knight to there and he decides to trade, I can recapture the knight. Knight's now looking at these two pawns, and this one in particular is undefended, so... Okay, so that's good. He's come off the danger diagonal, and now he's just looking at h2, which doesn't concern me so much. I have a potential bishop idea there. If I could get my queen looking at there, that might be quite good. So something like this, but then that might prompt him to launch a discovered attack against my queen with a rook. How can I get my queen to that square, maybe? Or just improve. Just improve the knight. Improve the knight. I've then got ideas of blocking that off, and that prevents e5. It makes life a lot harder for that bishop, and I'm liking the fact that I've got my two bishops now lined up really against my enemy's king. Is there even a thought of long castling? Because these bishops are pointing that way, see? Now what? What's that about? He wants to push his pawn, I think. So that prompts me to want to do this or this. If this and takes, that's a nice knight. How about if I take out his knight, he recaptures with, say, the rook. I come here, I've got two attackers on there. I'm not really inclined to swap my bishop for a knight, though. Does this just kind of suffocate his position a little bit? It means my bishop isn't attacking his knight anymore. Queen c2. Take out the knight. Take a pawn with check. That's pretty flexible. Yeah, I'm not too worried. I have just given up the opportunity to block e5, which may come back to bite me, but we'll see. So I could take out the knight. Let's say he recaptures with a rook, free pawn. King has to move. Okay, right, there we go. So I've got this. Attacking the rook. Yeah, so I think maybe that was my kind of one chance, because my opponent now does have this quite strong centre. So I want to get my king out of dodge, really, don't I? So do I want to castle that way? He's got this. Got one attacker on there. Maybe queen here. I want to avoid the pawn fork, don't I? Okay. Now this attacks the rook again, and he's only got that. Knight here, rook here. I think it needs to be played. I've got 3 attackers also on h7. That's pretty good. Yeah, so I can go in with the bishop. If knight takes, queen takes, king has to move here. And that's peeling open black's position quite nicely. Oh, king can't go there right now. That is a threat, isn't it, guys? Yeah, indeed. Okay, now. Oh, taking the bishop comes with a discovered check. Hell. Nice move. Okay, now what do I do? Do I take the rook? Allow this, but then I'm going to lose my queen. No, I can't block with the queen. If he takes here, I can't block. So I've got to do something about this. I've walked right into a tactic there. Bishop takes. Pawn takes, I get the rook. Bishop takes pawn. Knight takes, I get the rook. I think it must be played. And playing the price here for leaving the centre mobile and fluid before I've castled my king. Okay, so now I'm 2 down. This knight can't check me, which is good. But it is attacking my knight. So I've got ideas. I can take the knight, or I can simply take the rook. I think I have to take the rook. But can he do anything horrible here? He can take the bishop with discovered check. If he does, I've got that. Okay, so maybe what I need to be doing is save the bishop. A bishop down. Hang on. Okay, I'm going to play this. I'm running out of time. Oh, if he takes the knight now, I can't recapture. Tits. That's really bad. Okay, I'm getting schooled. He's going to take the knight. Damn it. Alright, okay. Right, there's nothing for it. We have to go in for a desperado kill. Okay, now I can take the knight. Unless he does something. I'm 5 down. 2 pieces for a pawn. Wow. But I have a potential pawn storm idea at the king side. His knight's hanging. That's his initial concern. He's playing jolly well. Okay, so the knight's come in. He's kind of looking at this square, but bishop can cover that, so I can hit the knight, kick it away. My bishop might belong here. The rook's defending that. I'm going to have to throw pawns up the board. There's only one thing for it. At least his advantage, which is these extra minor pieces, they're not looking at the right corner of the board. So I've sent my king the right way. He's going to have to do something with his knight, and he's got 5 more minutes than I have. Okay, now that's undefended if I move the pawn, so I'm going to move Harry. Got to use my rooks, I've got to use my queen. This is a critical and dangerous position. You see how I had that opportunity to block off e5, and I should have done it. Alright, you want to attack my queen, do you? Shall I line up my queen against the king and the rook? Or bring her over here? Yeah, I need... Ooh. My bishop hanging there. Yes, I just undefended my bishop, right? So that bishop's now undefended. He's moved his knight away. I missed it, he missed it. Okay, queen f2. Without a doubt. Bishop probably wants to come here. I've now got g4 with tempo. He can't come back here because he gets lost. Yeah, because I've got guarding all of this. Okay, so if I can keep his bishop on this diagonal, that's great for me. Okay, game on. Desperado. There's kind of a free pawn there as well, but that's a distraction. I have to keep the pressure on my opponent. So I would always take g4, I think, here. Kick this bishop backwards. Get off my bishops. What's he looking at? Okay, how about this? Although just take the pawn now. Why not? Let's do it. Take the pawn. Knight's on a dark square, so it's on a light square, so it's only looking at dark squares. So this it doesn't help this bishop out. If I can get g4 in. He's down to 8 minutes 10. Check. Ooh! That's evil. Utterly evil. No, he's beaten me. I'm completely taken apart here. This is awful. Looking at losing 15 rating points. Damn it. Okay, but... So queen takes? Queen takes his mate. Almost. If he takes with the knight, that's wrong. Because I'll... Yeah. Okay, I think that's it. All over. Wow! I'm going to evaluate this. Because my opponent played really, really sharp. Right, let's have a look at this. Just spider senses tingling slightly. Always got to be careful when you pick up custom games. Yeah, people who intend to cheat with the engine might hang out in custom games trying to pick up games against people who are much higher rated in order to grab a lot of rating points. Let's see what his accuracy was, because that was scary. I don't think I underestimated my opponent in there too much, but okay. Four mistakes he made. So my big blunder was what? Let's see. Overlooked an opportunity to threaten winning material. Best move was. See? And that would have left me slightly better. Yeah. Huge difference. Huge difference. Because then I play this, he plays the great move, and he's basically in a winning position now. I've got these pieces in a pawn fork formation. Yeah, I know it lets my opponent fork my pieces, but what can I do? Oh, terrible. Terrible game. But anyway, lesson learned. So the critical thing was this position. Right, so this is a mistake on my opponent's part because he should have played knight back, apparently. Okay. But he played this, and this was the critical point. I needed to... So one of my opponent's strengths is he's got these 2 pawns in the centre which I don't have, right? I was thinking too much about trying to punish my lower rated opponent and paid too little regard to my own safety, and particularly when I've got my king in the middle of the board, right? What do we always say? When you've got your king castled, your opponent hasn't, you want to bust open the middle of the board, you want to throw pawns up the middle of the board. It's exactly what he needed to do. I did have one chance to stop it, and I didn't stop it. So, I don't think he cheated on this, you know. I played a lot of mistakes, right? And I think, you know, with him making 4 mistakes as well, I don't think that's... there's no sign of foul play there. And if you look at the graph as well, look at the distribution. In fact, from this point, he played impeccably. So all his mistakes were earlier on, and then at this point he goes full Magnus. So I don't know. But the bottom line is, we shouldn't stress out about this too much. Yeah. But, you know, he played impeccably, but I gave him lots of opportunities. You know, these moves are not the hardest moves to find. So, no, I don't think this guy was cheating with the engine. He just took me apart. So, well done, Basileo. And a lesson there for me. Knocks me back under 1500. So there you go. Tough game, but the key thing again, have I learned the lesson from it? And this is my blunder, right? Here I'm in a reasonable position. 0.8 up, right? Reasonable position. I needed to get my king castled. I didn't do it soon enough. I'm on move 14. I haven't castled my stupid king. Basics, boys and girls, right? This was the move. Should have played it, and I didn't. So, more fool me. Even knight there, I'm sure would have been fine as well. Let's just check that out. Knight there, yeah, slightly better for black. Slightly better for black now. But bishop there was the move. I considered it. I discounted it. Maybe I was just slightly overconfident, right? Went for the attack instead, but I didn't consider that my opponent had a much better attack. So there you go. Lesson learned. Just got better at chess. Hope you did as well. Thanks for watching. See you soon.